You don't need robes, nor fire, nor symbols carved in ancient stones. A witch, the true witch, is a human being who remembers. Chapter 1. What is a witch? The true forgotten meaning. A witch is not one who casts spells, nor one who reads cards, nor one who dresses in dark robes under the full moon. A witch, in their purest essence, is one who learned to see. What others don't look at is one who understood that reality is not forced, it is vibrated, and that when the vibration changes, everything around them begins to transform. For centuries we were taught to fear that word witch. They associated it with the forbidden, with the hidden, with the dangerous, but not because it was, but because it represents something that the system cannot control. A witch does not obey, does not repeat the established. A witch remembers that the invisible is more real than the visible, that thought has form, that emotion leaves a mark, and that the soul has a language that is expressed through the body, through the field, through time. I have known many who, without knowing it, already walked this path. People who entered a place and the atmosphere changed, who with just a touch calmed, who without saying a word made those who had gone years without feeling anything cry. They never studied techniques, didn't read sacred books, but their presence was enough. And that's what nobody told you. A witch doesn't need to speak. Their field already communicates, and what it communicates is order, is truth, is coherence. I remember a woman who attended a retreat without saying a single word. During the first days she only observed. The others began to approach without knowing why. A young woman with anxiety sat next to her one afternoon. There was no conversation, just a hand on the back and something in the air. She settled down. The young woman began to breathe deeply, and at the end of the day said, "I don't know what happened, but I feel at peace." That is the language of her field that returned to center. A witch doesn't heal with formulas, heals because their energy is no longer broken, and in their presence, others begin to remember what they once were. Before the forgetting, Gurdjieff said, "The man who manages to awaken his consciousness becomes unstoppable." Caroline Myss summed it up like this: when someone is in their truth, their field becomes magnetic, and Bruce Lipton from biology demonstrated that our cells obey our beliefs more than our genes. Being a witch is not a gift reserved for a few, it's a frequency, a state of consciousness. And most importantly, it's a path you can walk, not with effort, but with presence. Close your eyes for an instant. Have you ever felt that someone looked at you differently for no apparent reason? Have you ever entered a place and noticed that something in the air stopped? It wasn't coincidence. It was your field. It was your vibration. It was the call of the witch that already dwells within you. And if you've come this far, it's because you're remembering. In the next chapter, you'll discover that everything that exists vibrates, and that living energy is not seen, but when you feel it, it begins to obey you. Chapter 2. Living Energy, the secret language of the universe. You can't see it, but you feel it. It has no name, but when it's altered, you know it. Living energy is the hidden language with which reality is woven. For centuries, we were taught that everything that exists is matter, that only what is seen, what is touched, what is weighed, is real. But those who walk the witch's path know something else. They know that behind every word there is a vibration, that behind every body there is an invisible field, and that behind every experience there is an energy that sustains it. Bruce Lipton, cell biologist, said it with scientific clarity. Your cells don't respond to reality, they respond to what you believe is happening. In other words, your internal energy shapes external experience. The ancient sages didn't speak of quantum physics, but they already knew this. They called it prana, chi, vital energy. It wasn't a poetic idea, it was a reality they felt with the body, not with the mind. I remember a young man who came to me without knowing why. He had no physical symptoms, but his life was stopped. Every project he started collapsed, every relationship faded. I observed him in silence and knew what was happening. It wasn't lack of motivation, it was his field. It was disorganized, off, broken. I asked him something simple. For the next 7 days upon waking, don't think about what you have to do. Just sit and feel your energy. Don't judge it, just observe it. On the 4th day, he wrote me, I'm crying for no reason. I feel heat in my chest and something tells me I'm not alone. That was the language of energy returning to speak. The witch doesn't need to control facts. The witch organizes their field, and facts reorganize themselves because reality responds to the vibration you emit, not to the words you say. Joe Dispenza, who healed his own spine after a near-fatal accident, taught this clearly. When you focus your attention with elevated emotion on a new version of yourself, your energy begins to live there, even before reality reflects it. That's not magic, it's physics, it's coherence. When your mind says one thing but your emotion another, and your body something different, the field fragments. But when what you think, feel and do is aligned, your field becomes magnetic and then the universe responds. That's why the witch doesn't run after life, attracts it, not because they have powers, but because they became aware of their vibration. And when you master your vibration, when you can hold your field without it breaking before judgment, loss or doubt, then others start looking at you differently, and without knowing why they begin to call you witch. In the next chapter, we'll talk about how the body is the clearest map of your energetic field, and how each symptom, each tension, each ailment is a sentence that your soul is trying to tell you through matter. Chapter 3. Your body as a map. Energy always leaves traces. Most people believe that the body gets sick by chance, by genetics, by age, by inheritance. But the witch knows that the body never makes mistakes. The body is a map, and each symptom, each tension, each discomfort is a word written by your energy. The witch doesn't look at the body to cover up pain. They observe it to decipher what it's saying. For years I saw people arrive with perfect medical diagnoses, and yet their body screamed pains without cause, fatigue without explanation, symptoms without name, and I also saw the opposite. Bodies sick according to studies, but full of light and alive from an inexplicable place. Then I understood the body is not the origin, it's the loudspeaker. A man came to me with chest pain. The exam said everything was fine, but every night he felt something oppressing him inside. I asked him what he didn't dare to say. He kept silent and then murmured, "I haven't forgiven my father and he's already dead." That was the weight. It wasn't the physical heart, it was the unreleased emotion. What you don't express, the body keeps. What you don't cry, the body accumulates. And what you deny for years, the body one day manifests as an ailment, as fatigue, as a desperate call. Louise Hay, one of the first to talk about this, said that every disease has an emotional component, and that by transforming that emotion, the body begins to reorganize itself. Bruce Lipton confirmed it from biology. Perception, not genes, is what alters the cellular environment. And if your perception is contaminated by fear, guilt, anger, or self-demand, your biology will reflect it. The witch doesn't fight against the symptom, doesn't see it as an enemy, listens to it, honors it, and asks in silence, "What are you trying to show me?" Your knees don't hurt from age. They hurt because you don't know how to surrender. Your back isn't stiff from stress, but from the burden you carry and never shared. Your lungs don't collapse from cold air, but from the sadness you never let out. Everything that isn't released in the soul ends up hitting matter. That's why the witch's path doesn't begin with answers. It begins with honest, sincere, deep questions. What part of me feels trapped? What am I so afraid of that I can't even name it? What story am I not willing to let go of? If you make silence and truly listen, the body will respond. In the next chapter, you'll see that the soul doesn't hide. In heaven it's right here, and that when you can't hear it, it borrows the body to speak louder. Chapter 4. When the soul speaks through the body, your soul never stayed silent. It was you who stopped listening. You don't need to go to the desert, nor spend weeks meditating, nor look for signs in the stars to know that the soul is speaking. It speaks every day, but it does so in a language we forgot. The language of the body. A witch knows there's no separation. Body, mind, soul are one field vibrating in different layers. And when the soul can't speak with words, it speaks with symptoms, with sensations, with silences. A woman came to me with a lump in her throat. It wasn't physical, it wasn't medical. It was a sadness she had carried for 20 years without saying. Her mother had died, and she never allowed herself to mourn her. The soul waited, but not finding a way out, asked the body to speak for her. Gabor Mate, doctor and author, expresses it with a simple truth. Disease is often the body's way of saying no. When you didn't know how to do it, when you don't cry, your lungs do it for you. When you don't defend yourself, your throat closes. When you don't let go of the past, your back carries it. And when you don't know how to move forward, your hips block. None of this is punishment, it's communication. It's the most direct way your energy has to tell you, come back to yourself, listen to me, reorder me. Caroline understood it decades. Hagos. Every organ, every system is linked to an emotion, to a story, to an unresolved conflict. It's not by chance that it hurts right there, nor that the same symptom always returns, nor that it appears just when you are going to change your life. The witch doesn't interpret symptoms from fear, deciphers them like one reading a map. And every time a part of the body is altered, they ask themselves, what part of my soul is asking to be seen? But it's not enough to understand. You have to listen with presence, with respect, with courage. And listening doesn't mean analyzing. It means stopping, closing your eyes, bringing your hands to that part of the body that's screaming and asking it honestly, what do you need me to understand? The answer won't come from the mind. It will come as an image, a memory, an emotion that surprises you. And when you allow that to emerge without resistance, something releases, something softens, something begins to heal, because you're not broken, you're disconnected. And when the soul manages to speak again, the body no longer needs to keep screaming. In the next chapter, you'll see how living energy responds to the place where you focus your attention and why, where you put your consciousness, you create reality. Chapter 5. Energy follows attention, the power of what you contemplate. For a long time we believed that to change something in our lives, we had to fight, push, force. But the ancient sages knew it, and science is beginning to confirm it. Energy doesn't move with effort, it moves with attention. Your consciousness is the most powerful tool you possess, and where you place it, your energy goes. And where your energy goes, reality responds. This is not esotericism, it's physics, it's biology. Bruce Lipton explained it clearly. Cells don't react to external reality. They react to internal signals created by your perception. If you live contemplating fear, your biology goes to war. If you focus your attention on guilt, your body lowers its vibration. And if instead you begin to contemplate calm, gratitude, possibility, the field reorders itself. A witch knows that what they contemplate grows, and that it's not about denying what hurts but not worshipping it. I remember a woman who came with constant neck and shoulder pain. She said, "Everything depends on me. Without mine, it falls." She lived on alert. She sustained more than she should, and every time she talked about her pain, she reinforced it with her attention. I taught her something simple. Don't deny your pain, but stop feeding it with your consciousness. She began to imagine every morning how it would be to live light, without carrying, without watching, just breathing, feeling, being. It didn't change suddenly, but after 3 weeks her energy began to move and her body to release. It wasn't magic, it was focus, it was sustained vibration. Where you put your attention, you put your field, and where you hold your field, you modify your biology, your emotion, your perception of the world. Joe Dispenza said it without beating around. The bush. The body lives in the past, but consciousness can bring it to the present if energy is directed there. That's why a witch takes care of their gaze, takes care of what they think upon waking, takes care of what they repeat mentally, even takes care of what they imagine when no one sees them, because everything you contemplate with sustained emotion begins to take shape. Take a pause now. Ask yourself, what do I think about most of the day? What images am I giving strength to without realizing it? Am I reinforcing a story that weakens me, or creating a new space where I can expand? Change doesn't begin outside. It begins in what you choose to contemplate. The next time something hurts, close your eyes and visualize another possibility. Hold that image, not because everything will magically disappear, but because your field needs a new direction to reorganize itself. In the next chapter, you'll discover that the most powerful tool to move energy is already inside you, and that each breath can be a key that opens the field and returns you home. Chapter 6. Your breath is the key. Each breath opens the energetic field. You breathe every day, but rarely do you do it consciously. Your breathing, that simple gesture, is one of the most powerful tools to move energy, release tension, and return to yourself. For centuries, sages knew it. The yogis, the shamans, the monks in all cultures. Breath was considered a bridge between body and soul, between the visible and invisible, between chaos and coherence. But you have learned to breathe without feeling. You do it by inertia, short, hurried, as if you didn't have permission to inhabit yourself calmly. A witch never breathes without intention, knows that each inhalation brings energy and each exhalation can release ancient weight. Gabor Mate observes it in his patients. Anxious people hold their breath, depressed ones sigh. Those living in trauma breathe fast, short, almost without realizing it, because the body keeps history in the way it breathes. Once, an old man came to me. He didn't speak much. He had a soft tremor in his hands. He wasn't looking for answers, just silence. We sat face to face and began to breathe, without technique, without words, just attention. After 3 minutes, he began to cry, not from pain, but from relief. 40 years without releasing a sorrow, and all he needed was to exhale it. The witch doesn't need complex rituals, knows that the miracle is in the simple, in the constant, in the deep. Breathing consciously is not breathing well. It's being present in your chest, in your belly, in the emotion that emerges. Try it now. Inhale slowly through your nose. Count to 4. Feel how energy enters. Hold for a moment, and then exhale through your mouth, soft, as if you're releasing a story you no longer need. Do it again, but this time take it to the place that hurts, to the corner of your body that feels tense, not to change it, but to accompany it. Your breath is medicine, not because it has power in itself, but because by breathing with intention, you recover your place in yourself. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to be with yourself without demand, without hurry, breathing, and allowing your energy to settle itself. In the next chapter, you'll discover the hidden power in your own hands, because when you learn to touch with presence, your field begins to remember how it felt to inhabit yourself without fear. Chapter 7. The touch that remembers. Your hands don't just touch, they heal. Your hands are not simple extremities. They are antennas, extensions of your energetic field, instruments of memory. When you were a child and something hurt, instinctively you brought your hand to the place. Without reading books, without knowing anatomy, you just knew that touching relieved. A mother doesn't need titles to calm her child's crying. She just puts her hand on the forehead, on the chest, and the field calms down. A witch knows this and never underestimates the power of touch, not for what it does, but for how it does it. Touching consciously is a sacred act. The touch that heals doesn't press, doesn't impose, doesn't demand results, it's just present. And when there's presence, energy begins to align itself. I saw it in a woman who came after an operation. She couldn't touch her belly. She said she felt it dead, foreign, as if it weren't hers. I asked her something simple every morning before getting up. Place your hands there without seeking to cure. Just touch, just be. After 3 weeks, she told me, I no longer feel rejection. Now I feel warmth. It wasn't a miracle, it was presence, it was reunion. It was energy remembering how to inhabit its own temple. Bruce Lipton explains it from science. The body is an electric field and your cells vibrate according to the frequency that surrounds them. Your hands emit that frequency, and when you touch with tenderness, you transmit a signal, a silent message. Here I am. I'm with you. You're no longer alone. Do it now. Choose an area of your body that you feel tense, painful, or off. Place your hand gently, without judgment. Breathe and ask it, what part of me are you protecting? Don't answer with your mind, just listen. Stay there 3 minutes like one accompanying someone hurt, without saying anything. That's also healing. And if one day you touch someone else, do it from humility, not from the intention to fix, but from presence. Your hands don't emit miracles, they emit memory. And memory, when it's touched with love, knows how to return to order. In the next chapter, you'll enter a space that the modern world has forgotten, but that the witch never stops inhabiting. Silence. that sacred void where everything reorders itself without effort. Chapter 8. The Silence That Orders. When everything is quiet, the soul speaks. We live surrounded by noise, external noise, voices, notifications, clocks, screens, and internal noise, thoughts that don't stop, urgency, doubt, constant comparison. We got so used to movement that when silence appears it scares us. We feel it empty, as if it were a threat, as if being quiet was disappearing. But the witch knows something the world has forgotten. Silence is not absence. It's reunion. It's when energy can finally settle itself. Every vibration needs a space to reorder itself, and that space doesn't open with more information. It opens with pause, with stillness. Bruce Lipton explained it clearly. The body has a biological intelligence of self-organization, but for that intelligence to function, it needs coherence. And coherence is never born from noise, it's born from silence. I once accompanied an old man who had gone months without sleep. He had tried everything. Meditation, music, herbs, medications, nothing calmed him. One night I proposed something different. Turn everything off, sit in front of a lit candle and listen to your breathing, nothing more. At first he resisted. He said that was doing nothing. But he accepted. 20 minutes later, he cried not from sadness, from relief. He said, "I haven't listened to myself in years." And he slept that night 8 hours straight. Not because of the technique, but because he finally gave himself permission to be with himself without interference. That's the power of silence. In silence appear the voices you avoided, the emotion you hid, the wound you covered up with constant activity, but also in that same silence your soul returns to speak. Louise Hay said, "Inside each one of us there is a deep wisdom, but to hear it, you have to be quiet." And you, how long has it been since you truly quieted yourself? When was the last time you were with yourself, without seeking distraction, without trying to improve, without correcting yourself? Practice now, find a place. Close your eyes, breathe. Don't meditate, don't do. Just be. Observe what's between thought and thought. That pause, that space, is where healing begins. Because silence is not a void, it's the origin. In the next chapter, you'll discover an even deeper truth, that you don't need to heal yourself, you just need to remember yourself. Because the witch doesn't seek to become something new. The witch remembers what they always were. Chapter 9. You don't need to heal yourself, you need to remember yourself. They told you that you're broken, that you need to heal, that something inside you must be fixed, and you believed it. You looked for answers outside, therapies, methods, words that promised to save you, but the witch doesn't look for themselves in the new, they remember themselves in the deep. What you call healing is not always adding something, many times. It's removing layers, removing foreign ideas, removing voices that said you weren't enough, and returning to that original frequency with which you came to the world. You're not an incomplete project, you're a vibration that was distorted by pain, by history, by the habit of surviving. Joe Dispenza lived it in his own flesh, after an accident. It wasn't medicine that restored him, it was his consciousness. When he stopped fearing and began to remember that he could order his body from energy. Then transformation began. Louise Hay said it clearly. You don't heal by learning something new, you heal by stopping believing the old. What makes you sick is not the body, it's unconscious fidelity to a story that no longer vibrates with you. Do you remember when you felt most yourself? Maybe drawing, dancing, looking at the sky without urgency, playing without fear of judgment. There was your true energy. You didn't lose it, you just covered it, with years, with guilt, with duties. Once a young man came to me with deep sadness. He said he had lost all motivation, that nothing made sense anymore. I didn't give him advice, I just asked him, "At what moment in your life did you feel truly alive?" He took time to answer, and then he said, "When I wrote poetry, when nobody was looking at me." I asked him to write one line each night, not to show it, not to improve it, just to remember himself. After a month, he came back and told me something I didn't forget. I don't know if I'm healed, but I feel more me. And that's true medicine. The one that's not bought, the one that's not taught, the one that's remembered. Do the exercise now. Think of something you love to do, something you did without obligation, without seeking approval, that which made you lose track of time. Go back there, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, not as a task but as an offering. You're touching your original field, your code, your essence. True healing is not changing yourself. It's undoing the forgetting. It's returning to yourself. Because the witch is not someone who transforms into something powerful. It's someone who remembers they already were. In the next chapter, we'll talk about forgiveness, but not as a moral act, but as an energetic liberation, an internal alchemy that will allow you to release the vibrational load that no longer belongs to you. Chapter 10. Forgiveness as alchemy, releasing energy that no longer vibrates with you. Many believe that forgiving is justifying, that it's forgetting, that it's saying, what happened is okay, when in reality it wasn't. But forgiveness is not a moral act, it's a vibrational act. It's not for the other, it's for you. Forgiving is not surrendering, it's releasing. It's loosening the invisible rope that still ties you to a scene, to an emotion, to a place in your history that continues consuming energy without you knowing it, without you seeing it. Everything you don't release you carry, and what you carry, sooner or later becomes energetic weight, and that weight blocks your field, drains your vitality and weakens your power. Caroline Myss said it without beating around the bush. Resentment is an energetic anchor, and nobody ascends carrying anchors. Once a woman came with persistent migraines. No medication helped. Nothing calmed the pain. Instead of talking about symptoms, we talked about stories, and a family betrayal emerged that hadn't healed. A wound between sisters, long silences, words that were never said. I proposed she write a letter per week, not to deliver them, but to release, to liberate what still vibrated in the form of tension. 7 letters later, she told me, the pain is no longer there. And it wasn't magic, it was emotional alchemy. It was recovered, liberated energy. The body doesn't cling. It's the mind, the emotion, the wounded part that still expects an apology, an explanation, something that may never come. And then, are you going to leave your energy frozen waiting for something from the past? Are you going to keep lending power to who no longer vibrates with you? The witch understands that forgiveness is not a concession, it's a decision, an energetic decision. It's not about saying it's okay, it's about saying, this no longer vibrates with me, and I'm not going to continue tied to it. Do it now. Close your eyes. Think of a situation that still hurts. It doesn't have to be the deepest, just one that still activates something inside you. Put your hand on your chest, breathe, and say quietly, I release this energy. Not for them, for me, because I need space, because I want to inhabit my clean field, and because I can't be a channel of power if I keep carrying broken stories. Do this for 7 days, 1 story per day, 1 emotion at a time, 1 layer each time. Closer to the center. You don't have to understand it all, just feel when something starts to loosen and trust. Forgiveness is not an event. It's a process, a gentle movement, a breeze that gradually clears the dents until one day you breathe deep and realize it no longer hurts. That's the beginning of your expansion. In the next chapter, we won't talk about techniques or external rituals. We'll talk about your internal altar, about the deepest vibrational ritual you can perform only with your presence, because the witch doesn't need tools, just needs to be. Chapter 11. Your presence as altar. The invisible ritual of the witch. We were taught that the sacred is outside, that incense, chants, crystals, mantras are needed, as if connection with the divine depended on external things. But the true witch knows it. The ritual is not in what you do. It's in how you are, it's in your frequency, in your presence. Because when you're truly present with yourself, without judgment, without mask, without hurry, the field settles itself. Energy responds to your coherence, not to your effort. Greg Braden explained it clearly. The quantum field doesn't react to what you ask for, but to what you vibrate. And you vibrate from where you inhabit yourself. If you inhabit yourself with anxiety, even though you ask for peace, you project chaos. If you inhabit yourself with presence, even though you don't say a word, you transmit order. I once accompanied a woman who was looking for a ritual to heal deep grief. She brought flowers, candles, stones. She asked me if we would do some kind of ceremony. I replied, "No, we're just going to be here. You, me, and silence. We breathe. Just that." After a few minutes she trembled. After 10 she cried, not from sadness but from relief. "Nobody had held me like this without wanting to fix me," she said. And she understood. The ritual was presence. That's the witch's altar. It doesn't require symbols, doesn't need witnesses. It just needs presence, a space where the field reorders itself because finally someone stopped running. Do it too. You don't need to know how. Just choose a place in your house, a corner, a spot, a chair. Sit there every day, at least 5 minutes. Close your eyes. Put your hand over your heart. Don't ask yourself how to heal. Ask yourself, what part of me needs to be accompanied today? And listen, don't try to correct yourself. Just stay with yourself without goals, without demand, without judgment. That's already a sacred act. The witch understands that their power is not in what they do, but in how they vibrate. And their vibration is born from their capacity to be, to hold their energy without interference, to inhabit themselves even when it hurts, even when everything outside demands they act. Your altar is not a physical space. It's a vibrational state. It's the constancy of being present with yourself, even when you don't understand what you feel, even when you don't know what to do, because every time you choose not to run, you're reinforcing your field. You're remembering that your energy reorders itself when you simply stay. Final chapter. When the witch is silent, the field speaks. You no longer need more words. You don't need formulas, nor promises, nor ancient names, because now you know something that's not forgotten. The power you were looking for was in you. It wasn't about accumulating, but about releasing. It wasn't a matter of learning, but of remembering. Remembering that the body is not a mistake. It's your altar. That pain is not punishment. It's a message. That energy is not ordered with force. It's ordered with presence. What you've heard is not a story to admire. It's a map to travel, a living reminder of what you always were. Now you know that the witch is not one who controls, but one who listens, not one who impresses, but one who inhabits. And you, if you've come this far, you're no longer the same as the one who started this journey. Your energy has already begun to move, even if it's subtle. Even if you don't notice it completely, something inside you has already awakened. So keep this manuscript not as an object, but as a frequency. And when you get lost again, when you forget who you are, return, come back to listen to it, or simply return to yourself. Breathe, sit in silence, close your eyes, and let the field remind you, because the witch's path was never outward. It was always a return to you. If this content has awakened something within you, if you felt that recognition of your own inner witch, don't let this journey end here. Subscribe to our channel to continue exploring the depths of your true nature. Hit that subscribe button and activate notifications so you don't miss any of our upcoming content about energy, consciousness, and remembering who you truly are. Your transformation continues with each video, and we're here to accompany you on this sacred path of returning to yourself. Subscribe now and join our community of awakening souls.